There is a place deep in the woods of northern Arkley, a place maps refuse to name. A village that time forgot, called Harrow's End. Locals say no one lives there anymore. But sometimes, late at night, when the fog is thick and the forest still, you can see a faint lantern flicker in the distance. And if you follow it, you never come back. That's where our story begins. Daniel Cross was a photojournalist, one of those men obsessed with forgotten places. He had spent years chasing ghost towns, abandoned hospitals, old mining sites. His YouTube channel, Urban Silence, was famous for its eerie exploration videos. When he first heard of Harrow's End, he thought it would be another perfect feature, the village that vanished. The stories he found online were vague, a mining community built around a deep water well in the 1800s. The well was said to be bottomless. One night, the entire village disappeared. No survivors. No explanation. The last recorded message from the village constable read, "We can still hear it moving in the water." Daniel smiled when he read that line. Perfect clickbait. He packed his camera gear, drone, and camping supplies. By dawn, he was driving into the fog-soaked forest. By noon, he reached what used to be a road, overgrown with moss and roots. Trees hung low like bent spines. He followed the GPS signal until it blinked out completely. The last thing his phone displayed was, "No signal, you are at Harrow's End." When he stepped out of the car, the silence was unbearable. Not the kind of quiet that felt peaceful, this silence pressed against your eardrums, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. Then, in the distance, he saw the outlines of cottages. Collapsed roofs. Cracked chimneys. Everything covered in a thick layer of ash and moss. He filmed everything, speaking into his mic. This is Daniel Cross, entering the lost village of Harrow's End. It's like time stopped here. Not a single bird. Not a sound. As he walked deeper, he found the remains of an old church, its cross snapped in half. Beside it stood a stone well, built in the center of the square. Its rope had long rotted away, the bucket missing. Daniel peered into the darkness below. He couldn't see the bottom. He dropped a small stone. He waited. And waited. No splash. Then, faintly, a whisper drifted up. "Daniel." He froze. The voice was soft. Wet. Familiar. He leaned closer. "Hello." Nothing. He turned off his camera and listened again. The whisper came again, but this time, it came from behind him. "Don't look down." He spun around, no one. Only the wind. Then his camera screen flickered on by itself. The recording light was blinking. But he hadn't pressed record. The image on the screen was distorted, as if water rippled across the lens. Then, for a split second, he saw it. A face staring up from the bottom of the well. Pale. Smiling. He dropped the camera. When he picked it up, the image was gone. Only static remained. Daniel laughed nervously into his mic, trying to shake it off. "Okay, maybe I'm just seeing things." Long drive. Low light. Creepy atmosphere, perfect setup for a viral video. He filmed a quick outro for the day, setting up camp near the church ruins. The fog thickened around him, swallowing the village whole. But long after he turned off the lights, he heard something moving near the well. Something wet. Something heavy. And when he looked out the tent flap, he saw the bucket rope hanging again, fresh and dripping with black water. Morning brought no relief. The fog had turned yellow, thick as tar. Daniel's footage from last night was corrupted. Every file glitched, freezing on the same frame, that smiling face from the well. He shook his head. It's a trick of light. Maybe reflection. But deep down, he didn't believe that. He tried launching his drone for an aerial shot. It rose into the mist, sending a faint hum across the valley. Then his controller glitched, the camera feed went black for 2 seconds. When it came back, the drone was hovering over the well. And on the screen, a person stood beside it. A woman, in a soaked white dress, her hair covering her face. She was looking directly at the drone. Daniel's heart stopped. He zoomed in, her lips were moving, whispering something. Then the drone battery died instantly. The screen went black. He lowered the controller and turned toward the well. Empty. No one there. But when he looked down at the ground, there were wet footprints leading from the well, straight toward his tent. He followed them slowly, heart hammering. The prints stopped right at the tent's entrance. He reached inside, everything was soaked. His sleeping bag, his backpack, even his clothes. Dripping with black water. And scrawled across the inside of the tent, in mud, were the words. Stop looking down. He stumbled back, falling into the dirt. His breath came in sharp gasps. He didn't know whether to run or keep filming. He decided to leave. He packed what he could and followed the path back toward his car. But the road was gone. No tracks. No trail. Every direction led back to the same square, the same church, the same well. He screamed into the fog, "Hello? Anyone?" A voice answered. "Why did you wake it?" Daniel spun around. An old man stood by the church door, hunched, wearing a soaked hat and holding a lantern. Daniel ran toward him. "Sir. I didn't mean to, I'm just lost." "Who are you?" The man's eyes were pale gray, almost blind. His skin looked waterlogged. He spoke in a voice like creaking wood. "No one comes here anymore. Not since the well opened." "What's in it?" Daniel asked. The man shook his head. "Not what? Who? We threw her down there to save ourselves." Daniel frowned. "You mean, there was a person?" "There was," the man said. "Now she's something else." The old man stepped closer. "You should leave before nightfall. It only climbs when it's dark." Then, as suddenly as he appeared, the man turned and walked into the fog, and vanished. Daniel called after him, "Nothing." When he turned back toward the well, the rope was swaying again. Something was climbing up. The sound of rope twisting filled the air, slow, wet, and strained. Daniel's flashlight beam shook as he aimed it toward the well. Something pale was rising, a hand, then an arm, slick with black water. He stumbled backward, tripping over debris. The thing climbed higher, a figure in a torn white dress, her hair matted, her movements jerky and unnatural, like a puppet being pulled by invisible strings. She spoke without opening her mouth. "You looked down." Her eyes, white, lidless, locked onto him. Daniel turned and ran toward the forest. Branches whipped his face, roots caught his boots. He could still hear her following, the dragging sound of something heavy on stone. He didn't stop until he reached the car. He jumped in, slammed the door, turned the key, nothing. Dead engine. The headlights flickered on by themselves. And standing in front of the car, dripping, smiling, was the woman. She raised one hand slowly. Her fingers were impossibly long, jointed wrong, like broken branches. Daniel screamed and hit the horn. It didn't make a sound. The radio, however, crackled to life. Static filled the cabin. Then her voice, faint, whispering through the speaker. "Don't look down." The car's rearview mirror trembled. He glanced up, and saw her sitting in the back seat. Her reflection smiled. "You heard me calling." He bolted out of the car and ran blindly into the woods. Behind him, the sound of water followed, sloshing, like the forest floor was turning into a swamp. He stumbled and fell face-first into mud. When he looked up, the ground beneath him was gone, he was falling. falling into blackness. When he woke, he was on his back. The air was damp. A faint light flickered overhead, the circle of the well opening far above. He was inside it. The walls pulsed slightly, wet and breathing. He tried climbing, but the stone was slick with black moss. Then he heard it, the sound of dripping. Something was moving below. He aimed his flashlight downward. The beam illuminated a shape rising through the dark water, a body. No, hundreds of them. Pale faces floating just beneath the surface, their mouths open in silent screams. Their eyes followed him. And then, from the center of the pool, she rose. The woman in white. Only now, her face was his. You looked down. He screamed, scrambling upward, but the hands from the water grabbed his legs, pulling him under. Cold filled his lungs. His flashlight went out. Above, the circle of light grew smaller. Then it vanished. A month later. A group of hikers found Daniel's abandoned car on the edge of the forest. Inside, the seats were soaked, as if the car had been underwater. His camera was still recording, battery somehow full. The footage showed the village. The well. Then darkness. Then, water sounds. And at the very end, a single frame of his face, staring into the lens, lips whispering. Don't look down. Present day. Authorities declared the site off limits. But sometimes, explorers still go searching for Harrow's End. Most never find it. A few do. And those who do, never return. Only their cameras are found, washed up near the forest edge. Always playing the same sound. A woman's voice. Whispering softly through dripping water. It's lonely down here. Won't you keep me company? Then the static fades. And the sound of a rope tightening echoes faintly. As if something is climbing up again.